Training solutions from top event riders. My name's Karen O'Connor. We have not enough chairs up here for everybody that's been invited to speak. What? It's getting a wee hot up here. I'll start from my immediate left, Boyd Martin. Gagging, Leslie Law, Clayton Fredericks, keynote speakers, Buck Davidson, Rider of the Year. Do you guys want to?
And you are? And you are?
Stand up. I said I was Karen.
Oh, you were. I got a list.
Shannon Lilly, Hannah Burnett, Ben Szymanski, all gold medalists. Good stuff. And where's my collar? Is he on here? We haven't seen him yet. Anyway. So this is kind of a fun one for, hopefully for you, certainly for us. We really just toss it around with questions. We want everybody to have an opportunity to answer a training solution. And so we really look to the audience for your help in guiding this next hour and a half. Perhaps some of you have seen us compete, seen us train, seen us warm up, seen it going great, seen it going really wrong. And so as horsemen at every level, we experience all sorts of a variety of different types of training solutions, and sometimes we don't get the solutions, but we certainly all of us here are spending our lives trying to find the answers on how to train horses better. Would anybody like to start with a question? Nobody has a question? Oh, John Nunn is gonna always. John Nunn, Mr. Bit of Britain.
So it'll be an equipment question because it's coming from me. But creativity-wise, outside the box, out of nothing that I would sell, what do you guys use that make me creative in your training of your horses?
I'll pass it down, but I'll start for myself. I've had so much success with horses that in dressage that will grab a bit in their teeth, take their tongue and roll the bit back, and then grab it. And I've had huge success with the leather bit, and the horses love it. It gets wet in their mouth. It feels it feels very familiar to them, very soft, and they take the contact really well in that. So that's an equipment one that I really like. You don't see them very often. You probably have to have them. You have to have them made.
It's actually leather covered.
Yeah, it's a tiny piece of chain, isn't it, so that they can't bite through it.
Yeah.
And then it's covered in leather, and it's really soft in their mouth. I have one horse that I'm riding in it now, and Mandiva did his dressage, always in a leather bit.
Is that another question? No. Answer that. I'm probably pretty simple, actually. I'm very much, I think I've learned from Philip, obviously, that we try and, with cross-country bits, is I'd avoid using a strong bit for as long a period of time as possible. And it'd be very, very rare for me to compete a horse before, up to prelim with nothing but a snuffer. And I found if in novice and training in prelim you went for a fancy, sharp, gaggy bit with this, that and the other, it sometimes makes them more complicated in their mouth, and it might make them better initially, but sometimes it actually makes them more confusing.
Obviously I agree. The one thing that I've started to use a bit and come from the jumper world, which they use it all the time, is a standing martingale. Obviously we can't compete in them, but it does create a good habit with your horse. Obviously when you put your leg on, a lot of horses react and raise up and try and evade it, and they, in a jumping situation, a lot of times you can't avoid that. And so then they end up getting away or hollowing out a lot more than you'd like. And so I find, especially the younger horses, standing martingale, set at the right length and that kind of stuff. And you don't have to go to Bit of Britain to buy them. You can get a running martingale and you can attach it to the callus, so it doesn't even have to be an expensive venture. But I find in a training situation, it's a good. You stick to your correctness and all that, but it does help.
But it is advisable.
And it does have a non-special at the moment.
Well, I probably can't help you with your sales either, actually, because I don't think you can really get away from the correct training, which I think these three have just touched on, quite honestly. Like Boy was talking about trying to keep them in snaffles for cross country and so forth. And yeah, really the answer is the correct training. So we're going to be buying what we always bought off it, quite honestly. Same thing.
But how about devices? Do you use any kind of devices, side reins, draw reins? Is there anything that you
Well, I mean, I don't think side reins are a device. I mean, I think that's for lunging. That's correct training. As far as draw reins go, I personally try to stay away from them. I once heard a very good saying was that you need to be a very, very good rider to ride in draw reins. And if you're a very, very good rider, why do you want to use draw reins? That stuck with me. That's not to say that I've never used them, but I might, if I'm going to use them, it's for 24, 48 hours just to make a correction on something, quite honestly. But I try to stay away from gadgets, quite honestly.
I'd like to thank John for the opportunity for me to put out some of the products that we've produced over the days, and hopefully you can all go and buy them at Southern Stars Saddlery online. But I think one of the products actually that I do really believe in and have had a lot of success with is the lunging bungee. I don't know if anyone's come across that. It is a lunging tool. It's an elasticated bungee which basically goes around, attaches to the girth or the wherever. Oh, they call it an X-stretcher, do they? Okay. But I'll have to check the patent on that. So, but yeah, it's a very simple tool to help with the lunging, and it's got an equaliser which goes each way to each side of the bit, and it's much better than side reins because it allows the horse to flex laterally and still ask them to go in a nice shape. And it really does what a good pair of hands does, is as soon as the horse submisses to the contact, it gives back to them. So that's my product spirit. But on another, we're talking a lot about fitting and things like that. So I've actually had a lot of success, and John probably won't like me for this, but I've had a lot of success with just removing the nose bands and getting back to a chance to have your horse submit to you a little bit more natural. I think you could go on forever with all the different training methods, but I think it's still underestimated how important it is to actually look at your horses in the inside of your horses' mouths. They're all very, very different. And when you're going to choose your bits or whatever, I'm probably a little bit like the other guys that just keep it relatively simple. But I have had a few horses that have come to me because they've been known for being runaways or horses that really pull or get excited, and the first thing I do is remove the noseband and see if we can sort of look in the horse's mouth and find a bit that's suitable for their style and shape of mouth. Yeah, so
mine is like these guys. I never jump anybody at home with anything other than a snaffle. But one of the things that I do is take stuff away in training, be it the stirrups from the saddle, make myself or make my students jump without stirrups. And then once we do that, I go and buy a couple of those plastic blocks to put rails on, and I'll set up a round pen with some barrels and stuff on the inside, and actually have to jump fences with no rails. And I got that from same circle, you're going to get the same distance. So you can start to use your body and other things rather than tools. You know, it's that kind of stuff to start to get the horse to think about the jump. So that's what I'm
I'll go to Karen's point a bit. I also use leather bits a lot, and I have a contact in California that makes, she has a manufacturer that makes them, and it doesn't have a chain in it. It's just probably tripled over leather, and you can do it just as a snaffle. She has one that also has a strap to hold it in place, and I find that horses that have backward contact, it does really help them feel to it. And then if they've done 2 rings, they've done 3 rings, all kinds of things like that to keep that same mouthpiece to help the horse accept a bit. And then, I mean, like all of them have said, I try to train as much as possible in snaffle and take, the gadgets away at home because, like Leslie said, it does come down to good training, and there's no substitution for good training. And so, I don't think that I have much, anything different than the 6 of them.
Mine isn't really like for training exactly. I love breastplates, especially in jumping. It terrifies me. Yeah, exactly. It terrifies me when I see people jumping without a breastplate. I just don't really understand it. I think it's very useful, especially on young horses. I do a lot of young horses and galloped at the racetrack. So, even on a good horse, a lot of times I'll just instinctively put a finger or 2 in a breastplate. Just in case, you never know what's going to happen, something spooks them or whatever, so I think they're very useful. I'm just going to sit over here and stand up. I don't want to stand. In terms of gadgets, I would say I'm going to go from trying to train riders instead. I do a lot of work with riders on the lunge. To help them really develop it. Take the stirrups away, take the reins away, and just put them on the lunge for about an hour or so and really develop their seat, because I found you can sit there all day long and keep working on it even without stirrups on their own. But, in terms of training the rider to make the horse better, I would go back to using the lunge.
Okay, hopefully I got everybody warmed up. Liza?
Anybody have any ideas about getting the knot around their feet?
You can buy, I got this tip from my wife. There's a product you can buy that's a treat. It's got a paraffin, a gum bit, it's a paraffin based.
If you're really stuck and you don't have anything just before you go to the massages, you can just take a tiny bit of dirt and put it in their mouth and it'll stop crying. I just did. True story. They will stop crying.
Anybody else?
With young horses, do you immediately, or what's the balance between immediately asking them to be very correct about everything versus sort of work today on forwardness, tomorrow on standing, whatever, versus sort of like, there you go, you have to do it right even though you're in.
So I'm not sure if everybody heard, but what's the progression with a young horse on what you do and what you ask for? And I mean, everybody's got a little bit different way of training. To me, I like to establish a working ethic with the horse, so when you get on, they sort of understand that now it's time to go to work. It's the same as you get up and